All right, so I just closed out of ZBrush and reopened it for this. If you were working in it previously, just that way you don't have all the extra brushes and stuff, and it kind of gets rid of anything that you might have been working on, and you start with a clean file. Because it has a way of, which is both nice, but it can also be kind of annoying when you're first starting out, as a way of like storing everything you've been working on, and that can be difficult. Okay, so it's gonna start off like this. I'm just gonna hit the comma button, or you can click the light box. Either way, it works. And we are going to make a character, just a simple, kind of humanoid character using ZSpheres. All right, so here we go. First off, I got to go in here, and you're going to choose ZSphere. All right, you're going to click on this. I'm going to hold Shift just so it stays straight. And once it's drawn, just like everything else, I have to go into edit mode. So I'm going to hit T, or you can hit edit up here. And now you can see we are in 3D. So what we need to do is just like everything else. We need to do a little mitosis and turn into a larva. So I also want to make sure I have symmetry, which maybe I do. Do I have symmetry? There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to hit X for symmetry. So I have symmetry on X. And I'm going to go above like this. So I'm going to wait till it turns green. See how it snaps to green. Click and drag roughly to about that size. That's fine. Okay. And then I'm going to do it on the bottom as well. Boom, click and drag roughly about that size. Okay. I'm going to hold Shift so it snaps, and now I'm like looking at the front. Now I need to move these and scale these and stuff, and this is where we're actually going to be able to use these a little bit. So I'm going to hit W, and I'm just going to pull this up, and I'm pull this down a little bit, and I'm going to go to the side here, keep an eye right there, and we're going to go like this, and I'll put this back like this. Okay, so I'm picturing this being my torso. So imagine I have a neck and a head here, legs coming off of here, the arms coming off of there. That's what I'm picturing this being. So this needs to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and hit E like that. So that's more like a chest size. And, I guess I'll make it a little more simple, a little more like my proportions. There you go. A little more, girth there. Okay. So normally there's a little bit of a rounded spine here. So I'll hit W to move this over. Okay. You can also just click these, but just remember it's Q, W, E, R. Okay. So now we have that. Now I can preview what this is going to look like by hitting A. And that's going to show me what the polygons currently look like. You just hit A again to get back out of that projection. It's I think it's unified. No, it's adaptive skin. You click on this, it's the same thing as that. Okay, unified skin's used for the Z sketch thing, I think. Anyway, okay, so we have that. That's all fine. Now I need to start building out the rest. Okay, so let's do the legs first because it'll be a little bit easier. So I'm just gonna kind of go underneath here. And I still have the ZSphere on, so we're going to click. Oops, sorry. I don't have ZSphere on. I'm going to hit Q, or you can hit Draw. And we're just going to go here, and I'm going to drag. And what you want to do is this. Shift. Oh, you got to return this on. I'm also going to turn perspective on as well. For it doesn't keep track of the thing. So I'm just going to zoom in. So you just hold Alt, click, and drag, and then keep dragging to let go of Alt. I want to take this. This is going to be my thigh. I'm going to push it up as tight as I can get before it does this. So I'm just going to go up here like that. And I'm going to go to the side here. You can see it's too close there. So I'm going to make sure it's more in the middle-ish. And we'll call that good. Okay, so that's the start of my leg. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the bottom of my leg. So again, make sure I'm going to hit Q, or you click up here. And I'm going to draw roughly where the size of the ankles. Okay. And then I'm just holding Alt, clicking and dragging. Just Alt, click and drag, Alt, click and drag, and let go. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna hit W for move. I'm gonna hold. I just like to hold Shift as I'm going. You can also click these if that helps. And I'm gonna hit W for move, and I'm just gonna pull this down. Alt, click and drag, and we'll go. I'm just gonna try and do what I think the ankle would be. I'm gonna hit E for scale here, just to make it a little bit smaller. Looks good. Okay. So that's my leg. Obviously, I need a spot in between. So to put the knee, what you do is I hit go to draw. And if you actually click in here, it will actually make one right there. And you can do multiple ones just like that. Okay, I'm going to undo. I only want the one. I'm going to hit W. It's going to pull this forward a little bit. I'm going to hit E for scale. And I'm going to scale it down a little bit like that. All right. Great. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we need to make a foot. Pretty obvious. So I'm going to hit Q for the draw. And I'm just going to go to the front, draw out like that. And W for move, pull it this way. E, I'm going to scale it down a little bit like that. And maybe scale it back up a little bit. Okay. And to make this look, oops, W. To make this look a little bit better, I'm just going to go ahead Q, put one in here. Okay. And then we're just going to W to pull it down a little bit. Just pull that like that, just so it has a little bit more of a curve. And then it sounds weird, but if I hit A, you're going to see how this like lacks strength. So I'm actually going to build another one right here for a heel. So I'll hit A, and I'm just going to hit Q for draw, and I'm going to draw a thing like that. I'm going to hit W for the move. I'm just going to push that in as far as I can get. And now you see if I hit A, obviously got a little bit of a weird, but see how it's much stronger, much more planted? That's what I was going for. Okay, hit A again, and we now, oops, we now have a leg. Okay, so now you can, sometimes I'll do this too, so I might like put one in here, and then W, push this back a little bit, and then make it a little bit bigger. So see how it looks a little bit more like a calf, and you can do the same thing here. Hit Q, click, pull this forward a little bit, okay, and then also hit E for scale and scale it up a little bit, and that gives it a little bit more dimension, okay. And you can see that's what we got. All right, I feel like these could be a little bit more separated. You know, it doesn't need a thigh gap, but looks a little not that great, but whatever. All right, let's go ahead and do the head and neck now. So I'll hit Q for the draw, and we're going to make sure that we snap, that it goes like this. Head should be slightly forward. Okay, go like that, and then W, and I just want to push this into the body. Let's see where we're at here. Hold Shift, and yep, okay, so W, and I'm just going to make sure that it's a little bit forward. I think it's a little small. Let's make that a little bit bigger. W down a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that'll be the base of my neck. Now I need to do the top of my neck, so I'll hit Q for the draw again. Make sure it snaps, and we'll go. If you hold Shift as you do this, it'll actually snap to the size of the previous one. So that might be helpful. All right, so we'll just pull this up a little bit. Doesn't need to be too crazy. I'll make it a little bit smaller because I feel like the neck gets a little bit thinner when it gets up. Not a lot, but a little bit. All right, and now we need to do the head. This is one of those areas where it doesn't work real well, but we're going to go ahead and do it. So now I'm going to hit Q for draw, and I'm just going to make sure I'm in the center, and we'll draw a big old fat head. W, pull that up like so. Let's see what that looks like. Let's hit A, and I'm going to call that good enough. Okay, so I used to like draw this other bit, but we're going to end up using Sculptress Pro mode once we get past here, so I'm not too awful concerned. All right. Now we need to do the arms and shoulders and all that, and this gets a little bit more difficult, but we'll work with it. Okay, so yeah, what I want to do now is hit the cube, and we're just gonna draw a shoulder. All right, and hit W and push that in. Okay, that's fine. And then we'll hit Q and draw what I think the wrist will be. Okay, W, and then I'm just going to pull this down. Now, one of the things I highly suggest too is if your brush is big, like this, watch, it's going to grab multiples. So you might have already been running into this. Put it all the way down to 1. So it literally is only going to grab what you're clicking on. You'll just run into less issues. You'll see later on when we go to do the fingers, it becomes a big issue. So I'm going to scale this like so. Roughly, W's got to go down a little bit more. We're going to do A pose, meaning that body creates an A. So we'll say that that's fine. Let's go to the side here. That's also fine. Feels a little bit not that great. Let's see. That's not what I wanted to do. No. I'm trying to get, there we go, this guy. There we go. So if you so see how I can see the bones kind of. If you grab that, you can rotate. You can grab that and you can actually rotate it. So like he looks a little bit like he was a little bit too far back. I don't know. All right, so we're just gonna go over here, and I need to do the hand. So we'll hit Q, and we're gonna go like this, and I'm gonna scale it up a little bit, and we'll move it down and over a little bit. So I want to make sure it looks appropriate. It's probably fine. Let's make it a little bit bigger, actually. Oops, I thought it was on scale. Okay, a little bit bigger. All right. Now what I'm going to do is draw the other piece. Okay, so we'll start with the thumb. Put the thumb roughly here-ish. Does that look right? Okay. W, and it's a little bit big, it looks to me. Go with that. Okay, and then Q, and we'll draw another one. We'll say like that, W, and I'm just going to go ahead. So here's a good example of what I was talking about before. If this is larger, it's real easy. See how it's grabbing both? So you just want to make sure that you hold space bar and make it all the way down. It's just going to make it easier. All right, and we're just going to kind of picture a thumb being like that. I usually just like to do 2 to start with, and I'll put ones in between afterwards, but it's a little bit easier to control if there's only the 2. Okay, so the hands are the most difficult part, so just be aware. So we'll put one here, W, kind of put that tight. We'll say like that, and I'm going to hit Q and try to draw the next one. Okay, and then W. That's good. And then Q. I'm just going to do the base to start with because it's a little bit easier to do the base, I would say. All right, and then we need to do, oof, I think it needs to come down a little bit. Back up a little bit. Okay. And then Q. That's obviously the pinky. And then all right, we'll call that good enough for now. Feels a little bit back, but whatever. All right, so Q, and I'm just going to hold shift. And then W, and pull that down. Probably got to go a little bit more in this. E, it's got to scale down a little bit. Okay, Q, W, E to scale it down a little bit. Okay, Q, W. That's pretty good. Okay, Q, W, like that. Okay, and so you can see it needs a little bit of adjustment here. So I'm just kind of clicking and dragging. Make sure you're constantly rotating around so you can see where you ought to be. All right, so I'm looking, and his hands are kind of pointing down a little too much. So I feel like they all need to move up a little bit. So I'm just going to do it like this. It's not too awful bad. Not too awful good either, but it should be okay. Let's put you up a little bit. Put this one a little closer. All right, well, we could play around with this for hours, and that's obviously not something we're probably into. So next what I'm going to do is just go ahead and draw the ones in between. So I'll just hit Q, and I'll put one in here for the thumb, and I'm just going to kind of push it to the side. And you can see how it makes it just look a lot more thumb-like. Q, one here. I'm just going to go ahead and put them all in there, there, and there. Because there are knuckles down here, but they don't really make that much difference. I'm only going to do the one. I can sculpt later. Oops, sorry, W. I can sculpt later to add any sort of subtlety I need. I'm going to try and make myself as perpendicular to the knuckle so that when I lift it up, it's lifting it up in the correct direction. So hopefully you can see we kind of got hands. Oh, I never made elbows. Let's make some elbows. Q, boop, and W. Move this back a little bit like so. And we can do the same things before. Q, Q, I'm going to hit W for here, and then E, just scale it a little bit. And I'm going to move it just a little bit forward. Take this one, and E, and grab it a little bit, and I'm going to move this one up a little bit, like that. Okay? And you can see we got a basic structure. I'm looking at it, his arms look a little bit big, I would say, overall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this one, make sure we got scale, and I'm going to try to scale this piece. That's not what I was hoping for. Let me see. No. Okay, that's... So I hold Alt. And so here's the thing. I don't always know what all the hotkeys are. So just remember that whatever program you're working on, it's always Alt, Shift, or Control. Those are the typical, we call modifier keys. Which means if you hit like D, it does something in whatever program you're in. But if you hit Shift D, it does something else. If you hit Control D, it does something else. If you hold Alt D, it does something else. So whatever, it will always modify whatever button you're putting in combination with it. So that's why I'm trying to see if I can get this to scale the whole arm. And I know I can. It's just a matter of... I might just have to scale it a little bit. Like that. That's a little better, I guess. I don't know. Okay. So we'll call that good. So what I would do at this point is I'm going to hit A to see what it looks like. Okay. And it's not the greatest, but it's okay. Right? So it's, I would spend a lot of time trying to make this look good, though. I just don't want to spend, we're already at 16 minutes. I don't want to make this super long. I want to make it like 20 minutes max. So we'll say that that's good. What I want to do now is save this. And the reason why we're going to save this is one version, and then what we'll do is we're going to carry on from where this is and save another version. That way, if we go to sculpt, like, oh, man, this is way off, I can go back to my original Z mesh here and use that and readjust it here and then go back to sculpting. Okay, so let's go ahead and save it. So we'll just do File, Save. I'm sorry, we'll do Save As. Oh, actually, I don't want that one either. Yeah, let's do File, Save. Sorry. So File, Save As. And I'm just going to save it right to the desktop for now. And I'm just going to call it my last name, underscore, and we'll say ZSphere guy. Okay? And save. So what that does is going to save what's called a Z. So this will happen sometimes. You're like, oh my god, it went away. It's there. It's the way that it renders. It actually uses the CPU. It doesn't use the GPU like most programs. And so there's a weird thing where like it'll almost like disappear at times. Just wiggle waggle and you'll probably see it again. If you go up here to save as, it'll save the tool, which will mean it'll save this guy, but not the entirety of it. When we do it this way, it saves what we call a ZPR file. So it's a ZBrush project file, which means it'll save all of your tools, your subtools, which are your models that are built into this. Any settings, all of this stuff gets saved as one file. It's obviously considerably larger than just saving the tool, but if you save a tool, there aren't that many. You lose options and such. Okay, so I don't typically use that very often. Anyway, so we're going to save it like that. And then in the next one, I'm just going to show you how to kind of sculpt, and we'll try to build out basically a fleshed out model. All right.